Welcome to the Grow My Salon Business podcast, where we focus on the business side of hairdressing. I'm your host, Anthony Whitaker, and I'll be talking to thought leaders in the hairdressing industry, discussing insightful, provocative, and inspiring ideas that matter. So get ready to learn, get ready to be challenged, get ready to be inspired, and most importantly, get ready to grow your salon business. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Whitaker, and as always, it's great to have you here with us today. Now, video versions of our podcast are also available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to put faces to the names, then head on over to Grow My Salon Business on YouTube and like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then remember to hit the like or thumbs up button. It's a small thing that you can do that goes a long way for us. So on with today's show. Now, I can't think of any family in the world of hairdressing that has made the impact that the Mascolo family have. Whether it was the salons, the schools, the products, or the incredible shows and stunning photography, the Mascolo brothers, Toni, Guy, Bruno, and Anthony were at the forefront of everything in hairdressing. My guest today is Anthony Mascolo, whose creativity and leadership was the force behind the creative direction of the brand. So in today's podcast, we will discuss the use of AI in hairdressing, the changing salon business today, leadership and team building, and lots more. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Anthony Mascolo.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a complete pleasure to be chatting with you, Anthony.
Well, it's good to have the opportunity. We've been able to do this a few times over the last, I dare say, 30 to 40 years.
Yeah, we did meet a long time ago in Australia. I remember that.
In New Zealand, when we first met, I think it was like...
in New Zealand first. Well, you know what? They were both very similar in the sense.
I get it. Okay, don't tell them that.
See you.
Okay, so listen, let's jump in and get going because I know you're pressed for time. You recently told me when I last saw you, you said to me that you had retired, but knowing you, that's probably not strictly true. So what are you doing with yourself these days?
Well, we did retire. After COVID, it was kind of a lot of different situations were going on. And it was a good time to say, right, you know what, I need to stop doing what we're doing and take some time out to be with my wife and just enjoy, the next stage of your life, really. And I think that's what we're doing. We're having a great time. We still do a few things, if someone wants to shoot and it's something that's appealing, then, we'll go for it and work with it. It's still in your blood it's not really work, but still got the library where we do Infringe. Infringe is going strong. We do stuff online all the time. And we've got a new print that came out at the end of last year. Which we do one a year, one every year and a half. And, so things are as busy as they can be, really.
Yeah, good. Okay. That's what I wanted to talk about, actually, with Infringe, because one of the things I noticed that in the latest one is that you have started to integrate AI into all the photographic side of stuff that you're doing, which is really exciting. And I know you've always been very experimental with photography. So talk to us about AI and Infringe and how you're utilizing that and what you see the future is for that.
Well, I think, AI has been there for ages. We haven't really taken as much notice as we do now, but, it's been on our phones, Siri's been there for ages. And it's all part of helping you achieve certain commands you want the computer to do. And I think really with photographic work, it's improved a lot in the sense of what it gives you. There's two ways of playing it. I mean, for me, it was really just experimenting. It's not something that we're really integrating into everything we're doing. Because I think it's the programs that you get depending on how you retouch and how you work with your, pictures and whatever. And there's Adobe that is very strong in this, but very in control of what you do. And then there's other ones that kind of just give you sporadic kind of images from putting an image in, you get something out of it. But what's interesting, it's a form of really research. I don't think it's, I enjoyed it because it was something different and quite quick. But it's a form of research, really. Like you use Pinterest or you use, magazines. Like years ago, we'd cut up magazines and have all different ideas and try and then work something in between that appealed to you and that was what you wanted to do. And I think really AI is very similar to that. You're telling it to show you lots of different things and see what it comes up with. So it's kind of an inspirational tool for yourself, because it's good at creating stuff. It makes some ridiculous looking things too, but it can do some good. But it's still really, in its infant stages. But it's also very much to do with the creative. You've got to think how AI works. Really, it's that instead of going through a load of processes and going through a load of stages, you just tell it. And once you understand the language and learn the language and, your particular program learns your language, then you start, you can retouch things much quicker. Instead of going around retouching it all around the picture, you can just tell it to do it and it does it. And so it's instant. So really it's just a new tool like everything, like editing years ago when it was on 1-inch, 2-inch, and then it became, Avid. And it revolutionized all those big machines. It's the same thing. It'll take over some things that you use now anyway and make it faster and allow you to do different kind of creatives. But it's still down to yourself really what you want to achieve. The story we did in Infringe really was playing around using some of our old images and just seeing how it can just transform and see what can happen with hair. And I think it's it's a great thing. It's a great thing. It can really be quite creative with it.
Yeah. Okay. In the 80s, when you sort of picked up a camera and really started to develop that side of your, sort of creative expression, it led to you entering a lot of awards and winning a lot of awards, you and the team. So I want to ask you about AI in terms of awards, because, what you can do with AI isn't what you're doing with hair, so to speak, as a hairdresser. It's what you're doing with the technology. So what sort of impact do you think that AI is going to have on the, awards side of the industry?
I would imagine really it needs to be policed. People need to do it and show the Polaroid and show the real work and whatever. I think maybe eventually there'll be something that is an award for AI. So it's using your own kind of talent to create something. Not necessarily the hairdresser, but the person who's working on, the photographer or whatever. But I don't think it will be a problem. I think they'll find solutions on how to make sure people don't use it to kind of not be doing the hair. I mean, when it's a hair awards, it's about the quality of the hair and how they've done it. If you really look now, people can retouch, place another bit, make it longer, make it thicker, make it this, make it that. You can do that anyway. But a lot of the looks are you showed the original photograph or the Polaroid or whatever. I mean, everyone can cheat, but I don't think it's really necessary or possible really to cheat that much. AI will be you'll know if something's I think you have to have probably eventually it'll be do it live. I mean that'll probably be the situation that people if they're entering and they've got a collection, then they've got to do that collection live. I think that will probably be an add-on if it becomes out of control, but I don't think it will. I think if it's got its own place, which it probably will get its own place, then it won't have so much a problem of trying to you're going to use it to the maximum because that's what you're using. So, but if people are not sure if it's real or not, I think probably eventually some of the photographic competitions will want to see some of the work live. Not all of it, but maybe one or two or something.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way around it. What you just said, actually have a section, have a category for AI. So no one's having to hide anything. You're saying this is the AI category, and then with the other categories, show a before and after Polaroid, that sort of thing. So
I mean, the real problem is with art. The AI can do a lot of very creative stuff by studying everybody else's art. It can do it really quickly. And, merge them, do the same or whatever. So, to be an artist and to paint and to do all those things and to create and think and whatever, takes you years and it takes, being clever and genius or whatever, having that talent. And so there is a slight problem because you can't always, the AI is really a wealth of information that he can just put that stuff together. With hairdressing, I think, you've got to do real hair to be a hairdresser. You've got to do clients. And I think that's why we're in a good place. We've always been in a good place. A lot of things have taken over from other industries, but you can't really get someone else to do, a machine to do hair.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I know we were just chatting before we pushed record and you'd just come back from Japan. And it's interesting, what you see in different countries as to how salons use technology. So what I wanted to ask you about was AI in a salon sense, not photography. Do you see any other uses as to how AI can be integrated?
I think it's being used anyway, gathering data, gathering your clients, making sure that you can then give them information at the right time, what shampoos they like and all that. That's AI, working it all out for you.
Yeah.
And kind of getting it in some kind of order. And I think really technology, absolutely, where it's organizing and detailing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's already being used. I would imagine it's not there. Look at AI, how it's changing everything. It's just slowly doing its bit. It's getting better and better and more effective. So it can then eventually, do the job, for you in a sense of that you still have to tell it and gear it. It's not going to do it on its own. And, because it's doing it for you. So I would imagine that's not really going to change.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not really sure. I'm not in the salon. So,
Yeah.
But I know everything is much more, you can look at everything on your phone, everybody's clients, when they're coming in. Who's cancelled, what time they're doing this, that, and everything. It's all on your phone. So I think that's really a little bit to do with AI.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. Okay, now you're not in the salon business, so to speak, anymore. But 20, 30 years ago, when you and your brothers, the Toni Guy salons were sort of exploding everywhere, it was a very different sort of business to what it is today, because like in the UK now, 60% of hairdressers are self-employed.
Yeah.
If you were opening salons today, if you and your brothers were starting today, what do you think you would do different as far as salons go?
Well, the thing is, when we opened the salons, my brother started first, Toni and Guy, the oldest, and they started the brand Toni and Guy, and that was in the 60s, 63. Then from there, Bruno joined in 68, and I joined in 74. My dad was part of it. So basically, the thing that we did was that we were a family. It was a family doing the business. And I think the success was because it was a family and we were all very, close and we all had a different role. I think, if you started today, you'd do the same thing, really. If you could still work as a family, you'd do the same thing. But you'd probably have a different system, of how you work. I think having people coming in, you get all assistants and, you work it that way and they all train, they do their barbering and they grow, all the things that we learned and kind of studied from, Vidal Sassoon, all the different ones that then made our own method and our own way. Obviously, we had our own way of cutting, but it was getting everything in some kind of order. It is different today. I think you can still do that, but it would be different. I think, people don't have as many assistants in salons. A lot of the stylists are on commission, a lot of them freelancers. So, there's a lot of businesses that, I think what's important when you have a salon is that the quality of everybody in that salon is a high standard and the equal standard, as much as possible. That's why we obviously did all that training, still do, the Toni and Guy out of there, which my nieces and nephews run. It's their business. They do a great job. But it's still, if it was today and you're starting, you probably, you would have maybe more people renting a position, but still being under a banner of education. So you could still do education for everyone. I mean, this is me just talking off the top of my head.
No, it's interesting your thoughts on it.
You still want everyone to have some form of, quality in where they're working from, but they're not, as committed, I suppose, being involved in every single thing and they're making their own money and whatever. I think people, after COVID, it changed dramatically. You've seen a lot of people that have had salons and a lot of salons, slowly lose some of them. And I think it's really to do with everyone getting their independence. It's COVID, it was Instagram, social media, everyone being able to promote themselves as themselves and create their own little world of clients and whatever. And I think really, it's progression. It's where it's moved on to. We all still have how we believe hair should be done and whatever. But, it was no different then to it is now. You've got really great ones, you've got ones that weren't much good, but there were a lot of people that knew what to give the client, and not necessarily cut perfect and did this style, but did what the client wanted and had a big clientele. And I think that's where it's at now. People are, all a bit more independent. I think after a while, people will like to go somewhere and belong to something, but that can be in a different way. Maybe not as tied in and pay people and they'll, maybe they can rent a chair or pay for a position. There's a few salons doing that, that are starting to move in that way. And I think, we'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes. Yeah. But it's the passion that whoever's doing it, and if I look back at what was done, it was 4 of us all having our own passion blended together that made it what it was. I think it's very difficult to say I would have done all of that myself. It'd be very different if I was on my own, or I think it'd be different if my brothers were on their own as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it made what it was.
Yeah, that was the strength of it. You all had unique talents, and combined, it turned into something that was very special, and that led to Tigi, the product brand, which was a huge powerhouse in the world of products. And inevitably, you had to sell it, or you did sell it, you chose to sell it. Yeah. And I often reflect on brands that are developed like by entrepreneurs, the hairdresser who builds a brand like you guys did with Tigi, and then you sell it out to a big multinational, which I think there's an inevitability about that, because that's how you get your payday. But some of those brands succeed, others don't, under the banner of the multinational. Yeah. And I often wonder, why is it that some succeed and others don't? What's your sort of take on that?
Well, the hairdressing business is very unique. And, when we built the product company, it was very much attached to the trade and to the hairdresser. So it was an extension to our salons, our academies, our clients, our schools, and then products. So it all intermixed into everything that you were doing. And the more we were teaching, the more people wanted to buy into the whole concept and idea. So you sold products. Products were a great way of selling. People wanted education, but the more it went on, like today, you can get a lot of free education, and there's tons of it. But what you do is not really free if they have to buy products. Or, it all worked in a way, but it was very much geared to the profession and to the hairdresser. And I think this was instilled in us, that we, as much as it was a lot harder and you had to work a lot more for less, through, how you sold it and how it worked. Because if you sell direct to the clients and you have all the middle situations out of the way, you make a lot more money. But we were very true to what it was. But, it comes a day when, it's owned by not just myself, but my brother. And my brother really, it works in Italian family. It works, the oldest down. And, it was a decision that was made. We were moving ahead. We were having difficulties trying to get color out there because of the big companies, and pretty much it stopped you. They pretty much could stop you, and then it could go backwards. So you needed an investment. You needed someone that knew the path, and for, I would say, for 10 years it was great. But like anything, it really, I think their decision was to go more to the public, and which is not a bad one, and I think, but it was obviously not what we did. We had a team, it was about people doing hair, going around, building salons, and, which is a long way around it, and I'm sure they looked at that and said, it's a pretty long way around this. Let's do it the way we know. And the way they know is obviously they sell millions of products to everyone, from lots of different things. And I think really then, once you've sold, it's not yours. So you're there to help and assist the direction they want to take. And I think, after, a couple of years, you get used to that and you work with that. And, and then eventually you decide, okay, do I like this or I don't? But I think, the decision obviously is there. So depending how you look at it, for them, they're selling it in a different way. For us, it was a product for the trade. So in the trade, it's probably gone a different direction. So, but everything has its day, I think.
Yeah.
And it's done. It was amazing for us, and it was
It was huge.
Great times.
Yeah. I mean, for young hairdressers, that are maybe just entering the industry now, they don't understand just quite how big it was because it just was everywhere.
I think today hair is different as well.
Yeah.
What it represented, what it did was very much the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s, and it had a real big impact, through what it did to the hair and obviously what we were doing to the hair and that creative side. It was a very fun, young kind of thing going on, and it was a perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay. You have always been regarded as being the sort of creative, powerhouse behind the brand. And your brothers had different roles, and your forte was the photography, the creativity, etc. But I think what a lot of people maybe underestimate, and I really like to draw attention to it because I think that one of the things that you brought to it, which maybe didn't get the recognition that it should have, is your qualities as a leader, you personally, and your qualities of building a team, because you were always very adamant about the art team. It was about the team of people, and you built a very strong team. So for people that are, listening to this, watching this now, what would you say the keys are to building a successful team? What are the keys to being a great leader?
Well, I think, whatever you want to lead, you need to be good at doing it yourself. I think that's very important, and be confident and learn and have the rules that you make for yourself. The rules that you want to tell other people, you got to do them too. And I think that's very important. But then, I was taught well. I've got to say, it's not just something that comes along. My brother was a great leader. All three of them were. Tony is a fantastic. What he did, how he, just grew the business. The franchising, the thing, and what we had when you do creative, people want to be part of that, and they want to be. It's then Bruno, taught me how you gather people and you make them feel part of it, and you inspire them, and then not just tell people, but get them to be part and share. And I think the thing that I learned from Bruno was, whatever you do, share it. So then you have to learn more and you have to do more. And I think really he showed me also that, he would give me the opportunity to do the hair instead of him doing it, because he was the creative at the beginning. He would let me do it, he'd let Pat do it, and Estes, and different people that were there at the time. So he would share the creativity, given you the platform to be able to do something. And I think a lot of, if you really look, there's a lot of people out there that it's their name, but you don't really see many other people within that brand or within their name that are doing stuff. It's all about them. And I think that's fine, because that's how that works. But then when you're one of four brothers and you're all doing a different thing, you're all accepting that the other's doing great at what they're doing. You're not thinking you can do everything. I think that kind of instills you then to grow that family and grow that family in creativity, which was my job. Get people involved. The only way to get them better is to get them to do. And I think really that was taught to me. So being someone that shares what you do, and you've got to be good at what you do and believe in it. And I think that in turn creates a good leader. But I think really the job was to create talent that would be there to do things that we needed for the academies, for the salons, and create a standard that we all wanted and believed in. And I think that having that, kind of strict plan in front of you, makes you a good leader, and giving people the opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. You've always acknowledged the role that Pat has. So yes, there's the four brothers, but then Pat also has always been your wingman. I mean, not just doing, makeup and styling and hair and whatever. You so obviously have a very strong relationship, and you've been together a very long time.
Yeah, we have. How long have we been together? 39, 40? I don't know. I'm 67 next week. And we were together when we were 20, 21.
There you go. So, that's a long time.
So that's a long time.
So what's the key to that? Like, because you work together, obviously you're married as well. What's the key to that success?
I found somebody that, really loves me, and I love her. And we're compatible in lots of things. She accepts all the things I'm rubbish at, and, all my faults. And, she doesn't really have any faults. So, I obviously accept her being great. So, it's we're very lucky. We have fun. The reason that we retired, we're going to all the places that we went for work to go and have a look. We went to Japan, like we were saying earlier, and we went to Singapore. We've been to Singapore a few times, never seen it. So we went and stayed in that fancy hotel on the top.
Oh, yeah.
All the trees, and it was really a lot of fun. I think what we have is that, we love each other. And I think really we've been together. She's always been very strong in what we do. Sometimes, in the period of when we did it, she took a back seat. But, that was because she was having kids and we were having children and whatever. So she was partly working, but mainly looking after the kids, but still always been involved in, what we do, right down to everything, really. I mean, we do it together. And I think we do it together because we love each other. No, we've been together a long time and I couldn't be more grateful, very lucky to have Pat and to have had her so, you get blessed for murder.
Yeah. Exactly.
She's been great, fantastic. And she is very inspirational, very talented hairdresser.
Yeah, I know she is.
Artist. I mean, you remember, she was doing all the tricky ones that no one could do or wanted to do. Pretended they didn't want to do them, but couldn't do them. That was really what it was.
Yeah. And she often doesn't get that acknowledgement for that.
Oh, I think I give her as much as...
Yeah, you do. You consciously...
I'm not going to give her all acknowledgement.
No, she deserves it. Myself. Yeah, she deserves it. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be a little bit behind the scenes with you at different events and shows, and I see just how much she does and has always done. So it's important.
when we were at Toni and Guy, we had a role, and then when we did Tigi, we worked very closely together. Got the Bedhead studio, and it's always been that we worked together. Through, and then we started doing. She kind of forced me to do the photography. Bought me a camera. I used it about a year later. She started then doing the makeup. So we were taking responsibility of the creativity that we wanted to do. And I think obviously the ideas were very close, and she obviously, loves me like I love her. So, I think that's how we have that good relationship.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So looking back, you've sort of retired. You look back at this incredible career. It's good that you can enjoy that time now because you worked so hard for so long on the road.
I mean, when you're doing something you love, it's not really work. But if I really think about it, since I was 14, I've been working 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
I remember even my brother getting us to do seminars on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
For years, Tony, he used to love it. Yeah. But I wouldn't change a minute of it. It was such a great opportunity, to be part of the whole thing that Toni and Guy created. And be part of creating something to do with it. I think it's an incredible journey, and very lucky to be looking back and enjoying it. It's still going. You're doing an amazing job over here in the rest of the world. Salons, America's doing great with the education. You move on. But I think for us, as we moved on and we're working more with Tigi and Unilever, it's a good time to say, thank you very much. And, you think, right, what do I want to do? Do what I did? No, I don't want to do that. I'd like to do some shoots and it's fun. We do the magazine a little bit, which, I've got here, and play with some of the ideas. But the passion that we had before was, the drive, because we were all four of us together going in the direction as brothers. And then all the team with you. We had some fantastic people that have worked with us, and been part of, the journey of Toni and Guy and Tigi. And, you can only look back and say, wow, what a great journey.
Yeah. Was there one particular career highlight when you look back at this, incredible career you've had and sort of think that was a career highlight?
I think there's been a few shows that have really, wow, this has been really great, and they really pull them off and the people really love it. And then there's obviously winning the awards when you're really trying to, beat everybody else. So the early days of getting the awards was really good, and they were good. Obviously, personally, there's been lots of other things that, me and Pat have enjoyed, but we've enjoyed those things together. When I'm British, and they were interesting days because you were really at a point where you were like, your brain was going mad because you just wanted to do stuff to beat everybody and to be better. And I think that passion, obviously, you do it, and it's something you can remember, and it's something that's new to you when it's happening. It's not something, people still have that passion. I still have the passion to enjoy everything that we've done and what we can do. But I think, you do remember those as like, the first experiences.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I want to throw this question at you. What do you wish you were better at?
Oh, I don't know. I wish I was better at sport. I wish I was more consistent at sport. And training. I do it for a couple of months, then I get fed up.
Right.
I wish I was better at that. But it's a bit late now. 67. I can still do a little bit of sport. And maybe I will kind of get myself, so I do it consistently. But looking back, I would have liked to have done more sport.
Okay. So looking forward, what's next? Last question.
Oh, just go on holiday.
Go on
with my wife.
Life's a holiday.
Go on holiday with my wife. Look, here we're at the library. My son does art. He does hair as well. He works with Paul Hanlon occasionally doing, the fashion shows, which is great, and he loves it. He doesn't want to do hair every day, so he's doing his art, and he's doing some great stuff. I'm very proud of him. And my daughters, one's getting a PhD, and she's about to finish that, and it continues. They continue learning. My other daughter's, raised a beautiful granddaughter for us, and she's amazing. And so you couldn't be more grateful, really, for what's going on.
Yeah.
And just enjoy that and try and spend more time. When they were young, we were busy. We were with them all the time, but we're with them even more. Now. So we took my daughter and my granddaughter to Japan. So then I'll take my son to Los Angeles. Try and take them apart, sometimes together, maybe twice a year together. There will be a fight, obviously. There always is. But the rest of the times, take one with you and then take the other. So it's good. Have some quality time with it.
Yeah, it's important. How many grandchildren have you got?
One.
Just one, right? Okay.
It's one. It's the one I got. She's great.
Good.
She's 10 already. She's like a teenager nearly.
Yeah, it doesn't
need another little one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe you won't have to wait that long. Whereabouts can people? Where would you like to send people to check out? What you're doing and stuff. Are you on social media? Are you on Instagram?
Go to Infringe. I think Infringe is really, just to finish off on that. It was a project that we did because we wanted to do more shoots and kind of, show people what we were doing. But then we discovered there was so much talent out there that we had to, it was unbelievable. And I'm not talking about, the talent that I've been used to all my life doing hairdressing. It was everything but that. Literally no, we won't use any of that work. We'll have a look at everything else. And then all of a sudden you've got artists using hair as a medium and some really crazy stuff, but very innovative, very, gutsy, people with passion and a nerve to do stuff. And I think and we thought, that'll run out really quickly because we call it anthropology and it's about what people did in the past. It doesn't seem to run out at all. People are just, bombarding all this stuff with madder ideas all the time. Yeah. So we keep that going on Infringe, online. So Infringe Magazine, they can see not necessarily what I'm doing, but what, I was given great opportunities. And I think Infringe is a good way of showing people what else other talent are doing. And, occasionally we do the print, which is always lovely. This is the latest one with Paul Hanlon, and the cover, and it's very thick. It's like a proper book. The wrong page to open.
I didn't realise you still did them.
Yeah, we do the print. It's great.
Right. Okay. I thought that
it's a massive thing. Maybe I make a mistake. It's too heavy.
Yeah. I thought you'd only gone online with them now.
No. We have 4 now.
Fantastic.
We'll do another one in a year or so.
Yeah. Good.
I've always loved having it on print.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I love that angle you've taken with that, about the whole, what did you describe it as, the anthropology of hair. So it's not about hair for hairdressers or hair by hairdressers
or for
necessarily. It's about culture and, the role that hair has in society. So they can check that out on Instagram at, it's just Infringe Magazine. Yeah, I'll put the links to that on our website and in the show notes for today's podcast.
Thank you.
So if you're listening to this podcast with Anthony and have enjoyed it, do me a favor and share it to your Instagram stories. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app. So to wrap up, Anthony Mascolo, thank you for being on this week's episode of the Grow My Salon Business Podcast.
Very much.
Cheers.
Lots of love from me and Pat.
Thanks, man. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you'd like to connect with us, you'll find us at growmysalonbusiness.com or on Facebook and Instagram at growmysalonbusiness. And if you enjoyed tuning into our podcast, make sure that you subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Anthony Whitaker, wishing you continued success.